Call me Lauren, 41 years old, senior brand director out of Portland, been in software marketing for like 16 years. Whole adult life was basically me, clawing my way up one corporate staircase after another. Always had that feeling I was dragging extra weight. Nobody wanted to admit. Was there guys talking over me in meetings, dudes rewording my ideas and getting credit for them, promotion, tracks that somehow kept bending around me, salary talks, where I already knew I was getting the softer number. All of it spent years reading articles about how the Scandinavian countries had supposedly cracked the code. Every ranking about gender equality had the same names, sitting at the top: Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark. Always some version of that list, kept telling myself. One day I'd work somewhere that actually meant it when they said women mattered, then out of nowhere. I get an offer from a software company in Copenhagen, head of marketing, good pay, full relocation deal, whole thing looked legit. Said yes, almost immediately felt like this was the opening I'd been waiting for, like I was finally getting out of the system I'd been complaining about for years, moving to the feminist wonderland I'd built up in my head. Friends throw me a goodbye party before I leave, everyone acting like I won some kind of lottery, telling me how insanely progressive Denmark is, how I was about to experience the future before everybody else. One friend gives me a book about women in Scandinavian politics. Another laughs and says, I'm never moving back to the States after this. I totally buy into it. Pack up my apartment, shove my whole life into boxes and shipping crates, fly over there, land in Copenhagen on a dark, rainy morning in late October. Company puts me in a nice apartment in Frederiksberg, clean place, modern building, way nicer than I expected. Start at the office the next Monday, first day in, and something jumps out at me. Almost right away. Office looks incredible, all glass and light wood and expensive coffee machines. Everybody's pleasant, everybody's calm, everybody speaks perfect English, like it's nothing, but I look around the marketing team and it's basically all women, like maybe 14 women and 2 guys. Then I go upstairs to meet engineering, completely different world, something like 22 men and maybe 3 women. Then I get shown the executive floor senior leadership offices. Same story. I've seen my whole career, mostly men, couple women, mostly in people ops and communications, just standing there thinking, cool. So apparently the utopia also has departments sorted by gender, like every company. Back home, my boss is a Danish woman named Mette. Been at the company 9 years, really friendly, easy smile, good at making me feel welcome. Walks me around, introduces me to everybody. During our first real sit-down, she starts explaining local work culture to me, says work-life balance matters. Here says nobody stays late just to look dedicated. Says people actually take lunch, says parents leave early when they need to pick up their kids, and nobody makes a thing out of it. I'm sitting there like, yes, finally this is exactly what I wanted. First week goes by, and I'm trying to settle in. Everybody is polite, everybody is competent, nothing openly hostile, nothing weird on the surface. But there was this feeling I couldn't fully place something about. It kept rubbing me the wrong way. The women on my team are smart as hell. Organized, sharp, good instincts, totally capable, but none of them seem remotely interested in climbing higher. No hunger for bigger titles, no jockeying for bigger scope, no real talk about moving into executive leadership. I ask Mette about the pipeline for women moving up. She tells me a lot of Danish women prioritize balance, says many of them choose not to chase top leadership jobs because of family life and general lifestyle. And she says it like this is the most natural thing in the world. I'm thinking, isn't that the exact pattern we're supposed to be disrupting? I ask her straight up, shouldn't we be pushing women to aim higher instead of just accepting this? She gives me this look like I asked something mildly inappropriate, says they don't pressure people into roles they don't actually want, says if someone wants leadership, they'll go after it. If they want a job, that leaves more room for the rest of life. That's just as respected. It lands wrong with me, but I'm brand new. So I let it go. Second month there, and I start seeing the pattern everywhere. Women leaving around 4 to get kids from daycare, men staying until 5 or 6. Not because management is forcing them, just because they can. Their wives or girlfriends are the ones handling more of the home stuff. I bring it up during a team discussion, suggest maybe families should rotate pickup duty more evenly, or at least that we talk more openly about flexibility going. Both ways, room goes weirdly quiet, not hostile, just confused. One woman says her husband works longer. Hours so she does more of the childcare, says that's just what works for them. Another says basically the same thing. Her partner's job is more intense, so she pulled back a little at work, says it was her decision. I'm sitting there thinking, this is exactly how inequality survives, by getting dressed up as preference, by calling it choice and pretending the pressure behind it doesn't exist. But nobody else seems upset. Nobody even seems interested in arguing with it. Third month rolls around, and I get invited to a company leadership retreat. Finally think I'm about to be in the room where actual decisions happen, show up excited. Then I count heads, about 28 people. There, maybe 23 men, 5 women, and the women are all from HR, communications, or support functions. None from engineering leadership, none from finance, none from product strategy. During one of the diversity sessions, I bring it up, say we're missing women's perspectives in the roles that shape the company. Head of HR is a Danish guy named Søren. He responds in this super calm, reasonable voice, says they hire and promote. Based on merit and personal interest, says women are welcome in every function. But many prefer more people-oriented roles, while men more often lean toward technical and commercial tracks, says it's about individual preference. Not bias. I push back, tell him, preference doesn't just appear out of thin air. Ask whether those preferences are being shaped by culture and expectation. Ask if the company shouldn't be trying harder to disrupt that. And he honestly looks confused by the question, like he can't even see the issue I'm describing. He says they offer long parental leave, flexible scheduling, good support for families, says women have the same opportunities men do. And if they make different choices, that's equality. I leave that retreat irritated as hell. This place is supposed to be the model everyone worships, and what I'm seeing feels like old school America in cleaner packaging, same split, same outcome, just better furniture and universal health care. Start digging into the actual numbers on Nordic equality. After that figure, maybe I'm missing context, maybe the data will prove me wrong, doesn't help. I find out job segregation is actually stronger over here. In a lot of ways, women packed into care, work, education, health services, men dominating tech engineering, finance, business leadership. Yes, the wage gap for full-time workers is narrower than in the US. But women also work fewer hours on average and cluster in lower-paying fields more often. So when you zoom out, the real economic gap is still very much there. I bring this up with Meta over coffee one afternoon, pull up the stats and show her. She listens patiently, doesn't get defensive, just waits for me to finish. Then she says she understands why it looks bad to me, but tells me I'm looking at it through an American frame. Says over there, they believe in real freedom of choice. If women pick care professions and men pick tech, that isn't automatically oppression to them. That's autonomy. I ask her if it's really choice when the same patterns keep repeating themselves, or if people are just getting nudged by softer expectations. Nobody wants to name. She kind of sighs and says, this is where Americans always get stuck, says the barriers have been removed, the systems are in place. Women can do whatever men can do. And if a lot of women still don't want the same things men want, that has to be allowed too. That conversation sits in my head for days because it keeps grinding against everything. I thought I knew, all the stuff I'd believed about Nordic feminism starts feeling shaky. Like maybe I bought a cleaner version of the same story. About 6 months in, I feel like I'm finally seeing the whole setup, clearly. Yes, parental leave is generous, around 11 months, total, between both parents. Sounds amazing on paper, but mothers still take close to 2/3 of it because they usually earn less, which means financially it makes more sense and that keeps them earning less afterward, which just feeds the same cycle. Again, yeah, daycare is affordable and easy to get, but almost everybody working in those centers is female, which just keeps sending the same message. Caregiving is still women's territory. Yeah. Women are visible in politics, parliament, ministries, public-facing, government stuff. But private industry leadership is still mostly men. That's where I keep running into the same wall. Women do well in the public sector, but the public sector usually pays less than private business. So I start speaking up more at work, more direct in meetings, pushing back when people make lazy assumptions, bringing up ways to recruit more women into product and engineering, suggesting outreach mentorship, more deliberate hiring pipelines every time. I get basically the same answer in a different accent. We already looked into that women didn't show much interest. We can't push people into jobs they don't want. We respect personal choice here. Month 8, having dinner with some Danish friends, 3 women I met through work and through people connected to work. Nice restaurant, low lights. Everybody drinking wine except me, because I already knew where the conversation was headed. I start venting about the gender dynamics. Again, one of them, Megan, teaches middle school, says she picked teaching because she actually likes being around kids. Says she easily could have studied. Engineering was always strong in math, but teaching felt more worthwhile to her. Another one, Claire, is a physical therapist. Says she earns fine, has a good schedule, gets plenty of time. Outside work, doesn't understand why. I assume she should be chasing some executive office somewhere. Third one, Sophie, works in people operations. Says flexibility matters more to her than maxing out salary. Her husband is a developer. He brings home more money, but she gets more time with their children. And she says that like it's not a compromise, like it's just the life she actually wanted. And I'm sitting there realizing these are smart women, educated, fully capable. The kind of women back in America I would have looked at and thought, you settled, you made yourself smaller. But they don't seem bitter. They don't seem trapped. They seem genuinely fine, more than fine. Actually, they ask about my life back home. I tell them the truth, how I fought for basically every promotion I ever got, how I worked insane weeks, 50 hours, 60 hours, whatever it took, how relationships kept falling apart, because work always came first, how so much of my drive came from wanting to break through walls and prove women belonged at the top. 2, they all go kind of quiet after that, not judgmental, just looking at me in this soft, uncomfortable way. Megan finally asks, but are you happy? And that question lands way harder than it should, because I know exactly why it annoys me. I have money, I have a title, people respect, I have the resume I spent years bleeding for, but I'm also alone, tired all the time, and angry at basically everything. By default, I moved across the ocean, trying to escape one kind of barrier, and instead found a different kind. One I didn't even know how to attack. Month 10, something in my head starts shifting, not all at once, just enough that I stop treating every conversation like a debate I need to win. Start listening more, actually listening, talking to women in the office about their real lives instead of their career projections. One of them has 3 kids, leaves every day at 4, gets home in time for dinner with her family, helps with school stuff, reads with the kids before bed. Her husband works, later makes more than she does, but when she talks about her routine, there's zero resentment in it. She says she wouldn't switch places with him, even if she could. Another coworker is doing a graduate degree, part-time company is helping pay for it. Her schedule is flexible enough that she can actually manage both. She's not obsessed with getting promoted every 18 months. She's just building her skills slowly in a way that fits her life at her speed on her terms. And it slowly starts dawning on me that these women are not helpless. They're not duped. They're not secretly begging someone to rescue them from patriarchy. While pretending otherwise, they're choosing based on what matters to them. And the things they care about are not the same things I was raised to chase. 1 year mark, comes up annual review with Meta. She tells me, I'm performing really well, says my work is strong, results are good, team respects me. Then very calmly suggests that I might honestly be happier somewhere else. Not as an insult, not a threat, just plain honesty. Says the American corporate mindset. I came in with the constant pushing the emphasis on ambition. The need to compete and move and win doesn't really fit with how things work. There, I've been trying to inject urgency and hierarchy into a culture built more around cooperation and moderation. That night, I sit alone in my apartment and really think about the whole year. I came over expecting some kind of feminist ideal thought. I was moving to a place where women ran everything, where men split domestic life evenly, where the whole machine had finally been fixed. What I actually found was a society where men and women often make different choices, and those choices lead to different outcomes. And most people there do not view that as a crisis. The Nordic setup gives people a lot of options: good, leave, flexible jobs, strong public support, basic safety if life goes sideways, but it doesn't magically erase preferences and it doesn't guarantee identical results. It just makes more kinds of lives realistically possible. So, I start asking myself what equality is even supposed to mean. Is it an exact split in every profession, 50-50 everywhere, no matter what? Or is it people being free to choose without obvious obstacles in the way America is obsessed with getting women into male-coded power structures? Denmark seems more focused on making caregiving and family life socially protected. Like, the goal isn't to turn women into men, it's to make different kinds of choices. Livable, neither system is perfect. Both still have gaps. Both still have trade-offs. They just organize the struggle differently. Month 14, I finally make up my mind. I'm going back to the US. Not because Denmark somehow betrayed me, not because the whole thing was fake, but because I finally understand what I actually want. I want the climb. I want pressure. I want to compete. I want the bigger title and the bigger room and the fight that comes with it. I want senior executive leadership more than I want an easier life. That's my preference, that's my choice, and it's real. But so is choosing to teach or work in healthcare, or take the flexible role, or slow down for family. As long as the choice is actually free. My goodbye gathering is way smaller than the welcome thing they did. When I arrived, more subdued. Fewer speeches, less mythology attached to it. Meta tells me she's not shocked. I'm leaving, says, Americans usually have a hard time with Scandinavian contentment. Says we get trained to keep reaching for the next thing forever, while they get trained to recognize when life is already enough. Says neither mindset is automatically better, just not the same. Last week in Copenhagen, I stop into a feminist bookshop. Small place, quiet, smells like paper and coffee. I find a book on Nordic feminism, written for English readers, start flipping through it, right there. It talks about how their whole framework puts care work near the center, how raising children and maintaining family life are treated as socially necessary work, how the state helps fund it, through taxes, backs it through policy, and doesn't really try to force women into traditionally male work patterns instead. It tries to give work associated with women more legitimacy and support, and standing there reading it, I realize it's not just a softer version of American feminism. It's a completely different philosophy altogether. Not about smashing through the ceiling, more about making the first floor feel as valuable as the penthouse. I buy the book, take it home with me to Portland. Now I'm back in my old apartment back in American corporate life, but my brain doesn't look at any of it the same way anymore. American feminism, basically, taught me women should fight their way into the same arenas. Men dominate Nordic feminism seemed more interested in making room for everyone to choose differently. Both ideas make sense to me now, and both clearly break down in their own ways. I'm at a new company these days, high-growth startup, fast pace, constant pressure, long nights, everybody sprinting all the time. Basically, everything I used to say, I hated, and also everything I weirdly missed when I was gone. But now I notice things I used to ignore. How many women around me are absolutely wrecking themselves, trying to do every role at once. How the women we call successful usually paid for it. Somewhere else, relationships, health, kids, time, peace of mind. How we praise women for grinding like men, but still act weird when a man says he wants balance one day. A coworker asked me about Denmark, says wasn't it basically perfect for women over there? I stop for a second because I know the easy answer she wants, but I can't really give that anymore. So I tell her it's more complicated than that. I say they built a system where choosing balance over ambition is actually possible, where family life doesn't automatically mean your whole career explodes. But because a lot of women do choose that route, men still end up holding most of the top leadership roles, just without the same amount of open resentment around it. She looks kind of let down by that, Answer asks. So it's not really equal. Then I tell her that depends on what she means by equal. If she means identical outcomes across every field, then no, not even close. If she means people having real options without getting crushed for choosing differently, then maybe they're a lot closer than we are. Then I tell her I'm still trying to sort out what I think about it myself, because I am, about a year later, I'm speaking on a panel at a Women in Tech conference. Someone in the audience asks about gender equality in Scandinavia, a question I would have answered very differently before all this. Now I give the messier version. I tell them those countries have removed a lot of barriers. We still struggle with healthcare, childcare, paid leave, social support. When life gets unstable, they've done real structural work, but they haven't erased the fact that men and women often still want different things, or at least end up choosing different things. And their answer has mostly been to make those different paths more livable, not to force everyone toward the exact same destination. Somebody asks if that's enough, and I tell them, I honestly don't know. I say it feels more straightforward than the American version in some ways. but it also leads to really segregated outcomes. And I can't pretend that part doesn't matter. Maybe there just isn't a perfect model anywhere. Maybe every country is just choosing which trade-offs it can live with that. Night, I text Meta back in Copenhagen. Thank her for being honest with me, even when I clearly didn't want to hear it. Thank her for the year, for the patience for not treating me like an idiot, while I slowly worked through all of it. She texts back a little later, says now, "You see it? American feminism wants women to succeed in the world. Men-built Danish feminism wants to redefine what counts as success." I stare at that message for a while because it's such a clean way of putting the split I'd been wrestling with. Same problem, completely different direction. I save the text, still go back and read it sometimes. Anyway, that's basically my story. Moved to Scandinavia, expecting some flawless equality. Utopia. Ended up learning that equality gets a lot murkier. Once you look past rankings and slogans, they built systems